Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Gosho study. I'll start today's session with story time, dedicating it to our young successors. I'll share a similar story as that found in the Gosho. Hope you all can guess the title correctly, okay? Here we go. Now there was once a samurai who one day found himself suddenly filled with fear over the impermanence of life. He felt overwhelmed by issues related to life and death. But grieved by the fact that few people around him took the same matter seriously, he decided to seek the truth for himself. He soon met 4 Buddhist practitioners from the 4 major Buddhist schools of that time. Now all of them asked him to practice their teachings. However, his encounter with them left him all the more confused, as he was unsure whose teaching he should adopt. He yearned to one day meet a true Buddhist sage who would help him make sense of all the teachings and show him a practice that can deal directly with the sufferings of life and death. Now this time he is very anxious. He traveled from place to place as far as his legs can carry him. His sincerity led him to encounter such a Buddhist sage. The Buddhist sage sensed his agony and wholeheartedly initiated a conversation with him. The two spoke for very long, ending with the samurai convinced with what he has found. Now after hearing the story, are you able to fill in the blanks and get the Gosho title correct? Brilliant! All of you got it correct. The Gosho of the month is Conversation Between a Sage and an Unenlightened Man. Now in the title, Sage represents the Daishonin and Unenlightened Man represents all of us. The Daishonin's intent is not to belittle anyone, but to say that if we study this Gosho with our heart, we can be as clear as he is on basic matters regarding our faith and practice. Just like in the Gosho, we can see the transformation of the unenlightened man. He started his search in anxious, grew furious once during the discussion, eventually became no longer confused and anxious. He then started clarifying about the Daimoku and practice, and he ended up with him eventually practicing the Daishonin's Buddhism. Now this class Gosho passage is a reply to his question regarding the Daimoku. Now the long introduction up to this point is for all of us to learn from the Daishonin's deep compassion. No matter how powerful the mystic law is, it does not spread by itself. Should we encounter a person who seeks and needs it, we must wholeheartedly share all that we know, no matter how difficult it is. Now very little is known about the background of this Gosho, other than it is likely written in the year 1268 and that the recipient is likely someone of the samurai class. Now this is a Gosho passage we are studying this month. At one glance it does look very long, isn't it? Now we will go through some Buddhist concepts first before we come back and understand every bit of it. Now let's start with the key learning points of the Gosho which are shown below. Point 1. Chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo even once has immeasurable benefit. Now this key point touches on the core attitudes of our faith in Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism, where we believe in the immeasurable power of even a single Daimoku. Hence this refers to the power of faith. So do not just chant the Daimoku once, okay? That's not the intent here. The next key point touches on the aspect of practice, which has always been practicing for oneself and others, and therefore emphasizes the power of practice. Now this key point urges us to manifest our Buddha nature and that of others through Kosenrufu activities. Now why this emphasis? Now we must understand that our Buddhist practice is only considered complete when we practice at the same time for others. Now from the concept of the 10 worlds, we can easily see there's no such thing as a selfish Buddha. For the world of Buddhahood is manifested through Bodhisattva practice. Now in the SGI, our complete Buddhist practice includes faith, practice, and study, as shown in this diagram. Now let's summarize all we learned so far using this diagram. The 2 wheels represents the power of faith and practice, working hand in hand together. Only then can the bicycle's potential of motion be drawn forth to create progress. Now the forward motion will eventually cause the bicycle to reach its desired destination, which represents our prayers being answered or gaining actual proof, and our lives attaining Buddhahood or mission fulfilled. Now this is a more complex example for the student division. Now we will use this for the Gosho passage later. Now let's return to the Gosho passage and apply what we learned. I quote, "Therefore, if you recite these words of the Daimoku once, then the Buddha nature of all beings will be summoned and gather around you." Now this section emphasizes the power of faith. It also touches on the power of practice, which includes for oneself and others, as stated in key learning point number 2. Next, at that time, the three bodies of the Dharma nature within you, the Dharma body, the revert body, and the manifested body, will be drawn forth. Now this corresponds to drawing out our life's inherent potential and become manifest. This is called attaining Buddhahood. Now this corresponds to attaining Buddhahood and prayers answered that we studied earlier. Now it is timely to recap this whole section with the purpose to explain the three bodies. So let me use this diagram. We can see that pedaling with both legs on the bicycle structure through the laws of physics instantly produces light and generate motion if the bicycle has two wheels and is free to roam on the ground. Now using this diagram on the Gosho passage of this month, now pedaling is equivalent to putting in efforts based on faith and practice, which through the power of the mystic law produces the power of wisdom or the ability to break through fundamental darkness. Now here, the mystic law corresponds to the Dharma body, and the instant light or instant reward corresponds to the reward body. And finally, our lives will eventually transform, just like the bicycle takes time to reach its destination, and hence is known as the transformation body. Now here, I stress that I actually use the Sanskrit meaning for the term manifest body. Now those in green, as we can see here, are the three bodies mentioned in the Gosho passage. And those in red are the Buddhist concept known as the four powers. Now finally, we come to the last section of the passage which reads, "To illustrate, when a caged bird sings, the many birds flying in the sky all gather around it at once. Seeing this, the bird in the cage strives to get out." Now in another Gosho, the three kinds of treasure, the Daishonin explained that this section corresponds to the Buddhist principle of Buddha nature manifesting itself from within and bringing forth protection from without. In other words, it means that when we activate the Buddha nature inside us, it will cause the protective functions of the life to work externally to transform our life. On this, Ikeda Sensei says, "In the light of the principle of Buddha nature manifesting itself from within and bringing forth protection from without, we can definitely change any situation or environment by transforming our fundamental mindset and revealing our Buddha nature. All fear vanishes the moment we fully believe that I alone write the script for the drama of my life." Now with this, let's recap the two learning points for today. Point number 1, chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo even once has immeasurable benefit. Now remember, this corresponds to the power of faith. Number 2, let's manifest our Buddha nature and that of others through Kosen-Rifu activities. Now please remember, this corresponds to the power of practicing for oneself and others. Finally, let me end today's discussion meetings, Gosho sharing, with an Ikeda Sensei's guidance. Ikeda Sensei says, "All people possesses the supreme life state of Buddhahood. Nichiren Daishonin revealed the teachings of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo as a means for unlocking and bringing forth this precious inner potential. As Soka Gakkai members, we reach out to others in dialogue as part of our efforts to fulfill our vows as Bodhisattva of the earth, believing in each person's Buddha nature and seeking to make it shine. Herein lies the path to peace, rising above all differences and transforming division into unity. Through the power of our voices, chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, and sharing Nichiren Buddhism, let's strive to strengthen the life state of Buddhahood all across our planet based on the principle of the mutual possession of the 10 worlds." Thank you everyone for listening.